You've heard of the 4% rule, right? I'm sure you have, but just in case you haven't or you need a refresher, the 4% rule says that in retirement, if you limit your yearly expenses to 4% of your initial portfolio value, then you should be able to live out your retirement in comfort. This is a rule that people in the FIRE community use all the time. But this is now changing. What's up everybody, it's Prashant here. Welcome to my YouTube channel and thank you for joining me today. In today's video, I'm going to be covering this change in the 4% rule and how it's going to affect all of us. So let's get into it right after you subscribe to this channel and smash that like button. According to this CNBC article published earlier in the week, because of lower projected stock and bond returns over the next few decades, the 4% rule is not going to be adequate. In fact, experts are now recommending that a 3.3% withdrawal rate might be more appropriate. This is very interesting to me. Just look at this article from the Motley Fool from February 2021, just 9 months ago. Back then, William Bengen, the guy who invented or introduced the 4% rule in the first place, he was saying that we could safely withdraw up to 5% from our portfolios. He was saying that even though markets were pretty expensive, because of record low inflation, he thought that it would be okay to withdraw even more money than before. Seems pretty funny in hindsight, right? Back in February, we did not have widespread vaccination, and now we've had vaccination rates going up and the economy has broadly reopened. Prices for almost everything seem to be going up, from gas to food, all the way up to cars and even real estate. Now that we have much higher inflation rates but are still projecting lower than historical stock and bond returns, experts are suggesting that a lower withdrawal rate of just 3.3% might be more appropriate. Now you might be thinking, what's the big deal? It's only a cut of 0.7%. Yes, it's a cut of just 0.7%, but if you look at it differently, a reduction of 0.7% over a 4% is actually a 17.5% reduction. Let me put it in dollar terms to make it easier to visualize. To keep the numbers simple, let's say a retired couple has $1 million in their portfolio on the day they retire. Under the 4% rule, they can withdraw $40,000 in the first year to run their life. This has to pay for all of their expenses, including mortgage or rent if they have that expense, travel, food, entertainment, medical expenses, and everything else. This is about $3,666 a month. Under the new 3.3% withdrawal rate, they can withdraw only $33,000 for the first year, which is only $2,750 a month. Imagine living as a retired couple for $2,750 a month. It's not impossible, but it can get pretty tight, especially if you still have a mortgage or rent to pay. When I made a video about FIRE back in February, I pointed out some risks involved in the FIRE movement. You can go ahead and watch that video after this one. I will leave a link in the description down below. But let me recap some of the risks. One of the things that I said is that the FIRE movement is based on one technical paper, and basing your entire financial strategy on one paper, on one study, on one data set can be problematic. To top that, this Trinity study that the FIRE movement is based on was based on data for 70 years only. While this seems like a long time, this is actually less than one single human lifetime. And since the 4% rule is so new, it hasn't actually been tested in the real world across several decades among different types of markets. Over the decades, countries will naturally go through bull and bear markets. And since your investment portfolios are tied to those markets, once you're retired and dependent on your portfolio for income, your income can fluctuate with these markets as well. Now, this 4% rule, or is it the 5% rule or the 3.3% rule? All of these rules are going to be based on a steady return of the market. That's the basis of the study. Yes, it includes some bull markets and some bear markets, but for a limited 70-year period. So that was the data that this whole 4% rule was based on. Now, if that data changes, if the market is not stable, if we see a long bear market, you could be in trouble. Or if your retirement is longer than 30 years, which was again a basis of this study, you could be in trouble also. Just like with every other rule of thumb, you have to remember that they don't work for everybody, and you must customize it for your specific personal finance situation. Currently, markets are pretty curious. Stocks continue to hit all-time highs over and over again. Since the drop in March of 2020, stock markets in the United States have been on a tear. And this has been great news for retirees and frankly for anybody invested in the stock market in general. But we also have record high inflation hitting 5 to 6% year over year, much higher than the target inflation rate of 2% by the Fed. So this means that if your portfolio returned 8% gains over the last year, inflation adjusted, your portfolio only returned 2 to 3%. Obviously, it has been easier to beat that 8% long time number. In fact, personally, my portfolios returned between 20 to 22% overall. Retirees need to be careful over the next few years and especially over the next few months. As long as the stock market keeps running hot, even the high inflation should not hurt them too much. But we do know that the Fed is expected to start tapering its economic stimulus moves pretty soon here in an effort to pump the brakes on the economy a little bit to prevent things from running too hot. This should bring inflation down eventually, but it would also put a damper on the stock market party. This could mean meaningfully smaller incomes for retirees while inflation is still relatively high. I would suggest tightening those purse strings for the next few months till we see which direction inflation is heading, which direction our economy is heading next. And if you're an early retiree or if you're part of the FIRE movement, I would suggest building out a side hustle if you don't have one already, or even consider working part-time as a consultant or something to have a side income going to tide you over this period of high inflation and lower returns. So that's all I have for you guys in today's video. I hope you found today's video informational and useful, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Also, go ahead and click the bell icon to be notified instantly when I post a new video. I try to post at least 2 new videos every week with great new financial content, and I would love to see you back here on this channel. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.